Welcome to Claw FA.
So look, if you follow Claw FA, you know how wild the spending can get. But the way a club spends its money and really the way its supporters behave on a match day, it's almost always dictated by a past trauma.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, people waste hours, debating expected goals and pressing triggers.
Right, all the tactical stuff.
Right. But if you truly want to understand a club's current transfer strategy, you have to look at their scars.
Exactly. Look at the transfer fees. Look at the literal panic in the stands. And you are basically watching the ghosts of the 1990s play out in real time.
Yeah. And for this deep dive, we are focusing on 3 specific clubs.
3 massive clubs, really.
Massively important, yes. And their modern identities, like how they buy players, how they cope with pressure, these are complete reactions to disasters they suffered over 30 years ago.
So if you really want to understand why these stadiums feel the way they do today, we have to start with the league's great tragic hero.
Aigburth.
Yes, Aigburth FC. Their defining wound is, well, it's that 1991 last day title loss.
A total collapse.
Right, because victory seemed absolutely assured, right? Just in the bag. Before fortune's final cruelty basically intervened on the pitch.
And that single afternoon completely rewired the club's psychology. I mean, from the boardroom down.
They were kings before that.
Exactly. They went from this confident, dominant force with, 5 titles in the Argonaut era?
Yeah, 5.
5 titles, to an institution perpetually waiting for the floor to fall out.
You really feel that tension, too. Like, immediately when you walk into Pier Road today.
Oh, absolutely.
There is this elegant, wounded match day mood. The fans actually romanticize the heartbreak.
Which is, structurally speaking, a genuinely terrible foundation for a financial strategy.
You think so?
I know so. Because when the boardroom starts believing in a curse, they make emotional squad-building decisions instead of rational ones.
Yeah, but wait, doesn't that emotional intensity make Pier Road a fortress? I mean, that raw passion has to be worth points on the board.
Sure.
Which eventually translates to match day revenue.
Yeah. In theory, yes. But in reality, they end up buying narratives instead of value.
Oh, interesting.
They pay a premium for players they hope will be saviors, which just unhealthily inflates their wage bill. It completely wrecks their amortization schedules.
Ah, I see. And you see that savior complex projected right onto Federico Quinteros,
A perfect example.
the Argentine attacking midfielder. He is basically tasked with carrying the hopes of the entire Pier Road faithful on his back.
And from a pure valuation standpoint, Aigburth severely overpaid for him.
Really?
Oh, massively. Because the fee structure is burdened by historical desperation. Like, he produces brilliant moments, but he is fundamentally carrying an institutional anxiety.
Yeah, he's forever shadowed by that agonizing question of whether his brilliance is ever actually going to be enough.
And it got worse recently.
Right. The atmosphere only got heavier after their heartbreaking Champions League equivalent final loss in 2025.
Exactly. That loss just deepened the curse narrative internally.
Just validated their worst fears.
Right. And if your transfer committee builds a wage structure around the idea that heartbreak is inevitable, you completely stop pricing in actual sustainable success.
But to the fans, that narrative is their identity. I mean, they remember the heights of the Argonaut era.
Yeah, they hold on to it.
They believe the beautiful football can return, but they ache with the knowledge that it might be snatched away again at any second.
Which is poetic, sure. But let's look at the other side of that coin.
Okay.
Because while Aigburth suffered a romantic, televised collapse on the pitch in '91, just down the road on Merseyside, Kirkby FC faced a much uglier reality.
Oh, totally. Their collapse was entirely in the bank accounts.
It was ugly.
A charismatic owner's massive frauds led them straight into administration, a brutal points deduction,
Yeah.
and like the very real threat of complete liquidation.
Right. That wasn't a sporting tragedy. That was a genuine financial near-death experience.
They almost ceased to exist.
And it forced a reckoning that completely remade the club's financial architecture into what it is today.
But it also created the most unbreakable organic loyalty in Claw FA.
That's true.
In 1995, the supporters established trust structures, they pooled their own money, and physically saved the club.
They stepped up. But structurally, they democratized the ownership to ensure they wouldn't go bankrupt again.
Right.
Because they don't have a billionaire injecting artificial capital, they can only spend what they generate in match day and broadcast revenue.
And for the fans at Knowsley Park, functional survival itself is the ultimate victory.
Yeah, it shifts the goalposts completely.
They sing about saving the club every single weekend. because the connection is purely organic.
I agree it is a beautiful sentiment, but, we have to look at the harsh structural reality.
Which is
Supporter ownership protects you from administration, yes, but it also mathematically enforces a hard financial ceiling.
I think you are severely underestimating the value of stability there.
Am I?
Yeah. Just look at a player like Anders Holmstrom.
Okay, fair example.
The 32-year-old Norwegian midfielder. He is now in his 8th year at the club.
Holmstrom is actually a perfect example of their model.
Right.
He is a dependable, unglamorous professional on a highly sensible wage. He doesn't disrupt their tightly controlled wage bracket at all.
And he actively chose to be the face of a slow recovery narrative.
Because it's safe.
As captain, he is the moral center of that squad. He represents a club that absolutely refuses to risk its existence just to chase a trophy.
But structurally, it means Kirkby is mathematically locked out of £100 million bidding wars.
Well, yeah.
They will never have the capital to win a title, meaning they are trapped in a permanent mid-table steady state.
The supporters know that, though, and they genuinely do not care.
Really?
They bought their club back from the brink, and they wear those royal blue shirts knowing they own every single thread of them.
So Kirkby survived the 90s by leaning into community and accepting a lower ceiling?
Right.
But Mancunia FC survived their own 90s decline through cold, hard, algorithmic capital.
Oh, man. Mancunia. Their historical wound was a decade of deeply agonizing structural mediocrity.
It's total rut.
They were once giants, but they became a club of mere historical echoes, totally trapped in the past.
But that changed overnight with Pelham Tarrant's sudden 2004 takeover.
It really did.
The new ownership looked at the bloated, inefficient legacy systems and completely erased that old identity.
Just wiped it clean.
Yeah.
And they replaced all that historical baggage with a ruthless, data-driven methodology that frankly rubs the rest of the league the wrong way.
It might rub people the wrong way, but it turned them into an absolute dynasty.
It's hard to argue with the result.
They win titles relentlessly because their tactical algorithms and wage structures calculate risk entirely out of existence.
But it also created this intense, seething resentment from traditionalist clubs.
Oh, everyone hates them.
Mancunia breaks established cultural codes. And the fans who travel to their stadium, they feel like the whole operation is just soulless.
Traditionalists can call it soulless all they want. But Mancunia exploits market inefficiencies better than anyone else in Claw FA.
Yeah, that's fair.
They don't buy players based on terrace romance. They buy them based on strict performance metrics.
Which brings us directly to João Vasco.
Yeah.
He is the Brazilian generational talent currently at the center of literally all the league's drama.
Because Mancunia secured Vasco on perfectly structured incentives.
Right.
Completely avoiding the emotional overpayment we just talked about at Egbert.
And he is technically brilliant, yes.
Unbelievable stats.
But rival fans look at the calculated, mechanical way Mancunia operates around him, and they just hate how surgical it all is.
This highlights the fascinating tension in modern football, though.
How so?
Well, you can buy the best tactical algorithms, right? And you can build the most efficient amortization models in the world.
But you cannot buy organic historical mythology.
Yes, exactly.
The Mancunia supporters, they have the real trophies in their cabinet, but they are wildly defensive because they know the rest of the league hates how they won them.
Exactly. They suffer from extreme legitimacy anxiety.
That's a great way to put it.
You can engineer total on-pitch dominance on a spreadsheet, but you cannot engineer universal, unquestioned respect from the footballing establishment.
So true. And when you pull these three threads together, for you listening, you were looking at three fundamentally different responses to an existential threat in Claw FA.
Yeah, we have three massive clubs, all deeply traumatized by the realities of the 1990s, who adopted entirely different structural coping mechanisms.
Egbert romanticizes the pain. They lean into the heartbreak to fuel the raw emotion on the terraces at Pier Road.
While Kirkby democratizes the club to ensure the financial ruin never happens again, they willingly accept a lower ceiling in exchange for absolute security.
And Mancunia simply calculates the risk out of existence entirely, basically replacing their history with an algorithmic efficiency that completely alienates everyone else.
The real analytical question for you to watch going forward is, which of these three foundational models is actually the most stable?
Right, when the next big crisis hits.
Exactly, when the next massive wave of financial pressure hits the league.
Because the pressure in this league never actually stops.
Exactly. Egbert's emotional spending might finally buckle their wage structure.
Oh, for sure.
And Kirkby's financial ceiling might slowly drop them into a relegation scrap.
It's bound to happen eventually. And Mancunia's algorithms cannot account for everything. When the data eventually fails, they don't have the romance or the community goodwill to fall back on.
Exactly. So keep this invisible baggage in mind when you are evaluating the league. The wage bills and tactical setups are just symptoms of much older scars.
It really is wild. Knowing the trauma these clubs carry completely changes how you see every single pass and, honestly, every single panic buy in the transfer window.
Definitely.
So think about the ghosts in the boardroom next time you hear the roar of the crowd. We'll leave it there for this deep dive.